Hey everyone, welcome again on the Tech channel. And in this video, we will going to work on the API integration of the API which we created in the last video, the Get API. Okay, we will going to fetch all the data and we will going to show those data in our UI. Okay, so first we will going to write controller and all, and we will fetch those data and map those data in our UI as you can see here. Okay, all the data are mapped. Okay, and I have added a couple of data. Like last time we had these two data, t-cert-x and cert-x. Now we have a couple of more data which I have added just sake of the showing it in a UI. Okay, and also I have added a couple of images in the product images folder. So those images you are seeing here are coming from the backend only. So watch the video till the end and you will going to learn a lot. Okay, but before writing a code, please make sure to subscribe the channel, like the video and share the video to your friend. It will highly motivate me to make such videos. And yeah, let's go writing the code. So let's start writing the code. So first of all, what I'm going to do, that in a feature folder I'm going to create a new folder called product. Remember last time what we did is we created the product card inside the home page. I just wanted to move it in a product folder. So where we have, here we have the product folder. Okay, yeah, I wanted to update the import as well. Okay, so we don't need to worry about this, not worry about this, we need to worry about the product card. Let's create a new file called product.dart file. Okay, and I'm going to create a stateless widget because we are working with the GetX, and even though if we use a stateless widget, that's normal. Okay, so what I will do, that I will create a product. Similarly, what I need to do, I need to import a material.dart package, and here let's remove it. Okay, and what I need to do right now, I'm going to use this product here instead of the body. I'm going to use it because we are in a home page and I just wanted to visualize it. Okay, so as of now, if you see, let me remove the import, the unused import. So as you see that we don't have anything here. Okay, so let's use a scaffold because we are working on a product page and product page have app bar. I'm going to use a app bar. So here if you see where we have here, yeah, so here you will see in a product page we have the title along with the navigation back and this many action items, I mean icons button. Okay, so let's try to achieve that part. And how we will do that thing? Simply app bar have a title, and as of now I'm going to hard code the title. It will be main April, or just simply say a text widget with main. That came into the picture, and I just don't wanted to have it on a center. Along with that, I just wanted to have some styling of the app bar as well. Okay, so let's do one thing, because this title have two things. The first thing is the main title and the second thing is the number of item we are showing over here. Okay, so let's do it quickly. That instead of using this, we will going to use a column, and column will going to have two children. The first children is the title and the second children will going to be a subtitle. Okay, and just say 2 3 4 5 items. Everything I'm just hard coding because we need to create a simple fundamental. And yeah, along with the app bar we have a leading, and in the leading I'm going to use a icon button. Okay, and you know that icon button have a two thing, event on press method, and second thing is the icon widgets, and I'm going to use a arrow back. Hit the save and see it is looking like the same. Okay, the next thing I wanted to do is, now we have a leading parameter, and let's do one thing. As of now, I am going to put a const to remove this. Okay, and leading and title, apart from that we have a center title, I'm going to put as a false. Okay, now it came here, and yeah, let's work on the leading. Because it is a column, as I said, if we wanted to take axis in a horizontal way, then we need to use a cross axis alignment inside a column. So I'm going to use a cross axis alignment start, so it will start from the beginning, both the thing. Okay, and the second thing, I need to work on the styling. So here, what will be the style? Let's use a text style, and here let's use a font size at least something 18. Okay, and font weight also need to be increased. As of now, I don't have a Figma design, that's why everything I'm doing here based on the assumption. Okay, so here I have added font. Okay, instead of adding this, let's use a 700. Okay, now I got it. Okay, and next thing, that inside app bar only we have a background color property. Let's set a background color to colors. Okay, colors dot white. Okay, and now when we set the colors to colors dot white, we need to set the color of the text as well. I'm going to use the colors dot black for this case. Okay, also let's go on a leading, and instead of not providing a color, we need to provide a color, colors dot black. Okay, similarly the color we wanted to use on the subtitle. Okay, what will be that? It will be, might be a gray or black with some opacity. Okay, so let's use a gray as of now, because we don't have a color code, and actually we don't need to provide any font size or font weight. By default the font size will going to be 14 and font weight will going to be W500. Okay, so sorry, this thing will going to apply here and this thing will going to apply here. Okay, so I just made some terrible mistake over here. Let's use a gray. Okay, okay, now it is added. Okay, let's work on a font size. It should be a thinner font size, around 300 maybe. Okay, now we got this thing. Okay, we got a arrow back, we got this thing, and main clothes. Okay, okay, let's use 200 at least. Okay, along with that I wanted to add some padding between these two texts. And if you use a column, then to add a padding between children, we use a size box and we use a height. Let's use a height 2 at least to give some padding between these two texts. Okay, now at least we have this thing and it is not visible correctly, so let's use a black 54 to see it, or black 87. Okay, so now it is visible, although we can provide a 13 maybe. Okay, might be it is looking now good, or let's use a black only. Okay, so as the time is taking, because I don't know the exact value of this color code, that's why it is taking the time. So now what we did, we added a background color, we added a leading, we added a title as well. Let's add some action. Okay, we also added a center title of the app bar. Now let's work on the actions. So what are the actions we have? We have the 3 actions. We need to add 3 icon button to place everything over here. Okay, so app bar also provide action. Okay, and action will take children's. Okay, so it will be icon button. So let's use a icon button again. The first icon button will going to be a search button. Okay, and you know everything about icon, button as of now. So let's use a material icon to use our search. Okay, and this is, and also by default the color will going to be colors.black. Okay, so the first icon is now added. Let's increase the size a little bit, just like we have over there. So, or at least 28. Okay, so this is our first button. Let's work on the second button. Again, I'm going to add a cons over here. Oh, cons will add some chaos. So I'm just going to copy the icon. Okay, we can use a cons over here to remove the linting. So this is the first icon. Let's work on the second icon. What will be the second icon? Second icon is the wish list. And what was the wish list icon? It was the favorite. Oh. This is the icon name, favorite. Okay, so this is the icon added. Let's use outline. Okay, now let's add a third icon. The third icon is the shopping bag. Okay, we will going to use outline. So here, so we added all the three icons. You can see that the first icon is the search, second is the wish list, third is the shopping icon. Okay, the icon are not exactly we have here, but yeah, it will work. Okay, so this is our app bar. So the work of the app bar is now completed. So let's close this thing. Now the second thing we have to use is we have to work on the body. So scaffold have a body parameter, and in the body we need to show all the item which we are fetching from the backend. Okay, as of now let's use a list view builder. Okay, and we will come to this part later. Okay, list view builder take actually many parameters. The first parameter will going to be item count, number of item we wanted to show. Let's put 0 as of now. Second parameter is the builder method, and what will be the builder method parameter take? The first thing is the context, and second thing is index. Okay, we'll come to this part later. Okay, and before that we need to make a API call, because the data which we are getting here, these are the data we are trying to fetch is from the backend only. Okay, for that we need to create a API call. Okay, and as we are using a GetX, so we need to create a controller. Okay, so I'm going to create a new folder inside a product that will be going to controller. Okay, and what will be the controller name? The name I'm going to put is product details controller. So this is a controller which will help us to fetch the product details data from the backend. Okay, so here we're going to create a GetX controller. You already saw a login controller or register controller. You might have some idea that how we create a GetX controller. So let's create it from the scratch. I will name it as a product details controller. Okay, every controller which we create extend the GetX controller class. Okay, so that get.dart package is imported. So this is our product details controller. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to create some variable to hold our data which we are getting from the backend. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to create a rx bool type of boolean data which will be a each loading. Whenever we make a API call, we wanted to show some kind of loading on our UI. That's why I am creating this each loading variable. It will help us to track that our data is fetched or not to show the loader. Okay, and whenever we use a rx bool data type, we can use a obs. Okay, to observe. So whatever we will change or assign some data in each loading at any time, so it will affect the our UI. Okay, and it will try to re-render the UI. Okay, you will see it in action. Just give me a moment. Okay, the second thing I wanted to do is I wanted to store the data which we are fetching from the backend. Okay, for that what we do generally, that whenever we interact with the JSON type of data or make any API call, for that first we need a model class. If you don't know about the model class, then you can watch my video related to the model class. I have a separate series on that. Okay, you will get an idea that how you create a model class and why it is so important to use it on a Flutter. Okay, now let's create the model class, the data which we are going to use on our Flutter app. Okay, and how we will going to create a model class, we have a quick setup for that thing. Actually, there is a one website called QuickType which will help us to create a model class. Okay, so here I'm going to copy the type of data which we are going to fetch from the backend. Anyway, you will going to have a contract. Okay, so this is the type of data we wanted to use. Okay, so let's provide a type of data. Okay, so it will going to a JSON object, that's why I need to add this thing. And why I did this thing, that I'm getting a data. Okay, and the data is a list of the object. Okay, that's why I use this thing. And yeah, let's try to create it. And let's use the model class name to product details model. Actually, I used it earlier, then you might have idea that how to use a quick type. For that also I have a separate video. Okay, so let's copy the code. So this is the code. It's generated by this this quick type for us, and it is a model class code. Okay, now we have a code of the model class, then we don't need to create it for us by manually. Okay, so what I do, that just like we created a controller, I'm going to create a new folder called model folder. So this is a project structure we are following. In a login also we created a controller, we created a model and the corresponding UI. Similarly here also we have a corresponding UI. Okay, and a controller. Similarly we're going to have a model, so it will be a product details model dot. The code I copied from the quick type I will going to paste over here. Okay, and yeah, these are the code which we can remove. The next thing that we have to follow the null safety, that's why let's put a required keyword over here. So this will be a required keyword. ID will always going to be required. Name is also required. Let's cross verify this all the thing which we did in our last video. We created a model class in the last video. Similarly, okay, we put all the required thing. Okay, so we put name as a required, description as a required, wish list was a not required parameter, right? That was an optional parameter which we had here. Okay, so if you see, name was required, this was required, but wish list was not required. Okay, similarly let's add a required on actual price, on this also, on this also. So all are the required parameter, and also the image URL was the required parameter. What about the rating and number of review? Let's go and find that rating and number of review was not required parameter, it was an optional parameter. So let's add an optional mark, and as of now we don't need this .v to maintain it. Okay, so let's remove this thing. So our model class is ready. Okay, and we are getting some error. Okay, so we don't need this v because we haven't added it, so let's remove it. Okay, so our model class is now prepared. Let me change the item name as well. Okay, so the name we have here is the date num, which is not exactly correct name. What we will do, let's change the per item name. Okay, I'm going to change everywhere. So instead of using a dat num, I will going to use a product detail item. Okay, so actually we have a two type of data. Okay, so this is a upper data and this is a lower data. So the first model class we're going to create for this data. Okay, so you will find, okay, just give me a moment, let me just explain a little bit. So this is our first model, okay, uh, that is a product details model, okay, and it is getting a data, okay, and data is a list of this object model, okay. So I have a separate video on this, you will get to know everything over there. So but I'm just giving a little bit idea, okay, please watch that video if you want a deep idea, okay. So this is our first model class, you can see this is our first model class, and it has just only one parameter called data. And what is the type of that? It is a type of list of product item, okay. That's why we have a second model class, and in the second model class we have defined everything, okay. The thing we have here, that is already defined, okay. So this is our second model class, and the first model class is using that model class to iterate, okay. So we are going to use this model class, okay, and I'm going to create a placeholder, and it will be a list of this model class, okay. Name will going to be item product list, okay. Initially it will going to be empty, okay. So because all the specification are here, that's why I wanted to use this product list only. So we're going to store the data here, okay, but we will use a upper model class first to pass a JSON data, okay, into our normal Dart object, okay. Yeah, it can be confusing, but please watch the model class related video first if you are confused here, okay. So now we are inside a GetX, okay. So what we need to do is we need to make a function where we can write a get API call. Let's write a function called get product details, okay. So it is a function, and now we're going to use our another class which we created, the network handler class, and network handler class have a get method, okay. So dot get, that was a static method, so we can use it like this, okay. And the get method will take two parameter, okay. If you go inside a network handler, we are taking two parameter. The first parameter is the endpoint, and second parameter is the token. As of now we don't need a token parameter, so we can pass it empty, but we need to provide the exact endpoint name. So what will be our endpoint name? So our endpoint name will going to be this, okay. Our base URL is already hard coded, so we just have to provide the endpoint name, and what it will do, it will make a get call, and it will give us a response.body, okay. So we got the response over here, and what we just need to do is now response is in a JSON format. So what we will do, we will first convert the JSON string into the map object, normal JSON object, okay. And to do that, what we will use a JSON.decode method provided by the Flutter decode, and we use our response. Once I use this response.decode, automatically dart.convert is added, okay. And it must be a await, because it will return a promise, and as it is a await type, then we have to make our function as a async function, okay. Now the data is converted into normal JSON object. Now we can use our model class, okay. So here we are getting a data. What we will do, let me just do one quick thing. Let's print the data, okay. So let's print a data that everything is working fine or not. And every GetX controller have a onIt method, and let me use that, okay. it is not giving intelligence. What I will do, let's use it. It have some kind of problem. Okay, so what is the onIt method? OnIt method is just like a init state we have inside a stateful widget. Whenever we will import this GetX controller, automatically this onIt method will going to run. Okay, you will see it in action. Okay, so similarly inside the init state we put all the initialization. I will put here. Okay, so now our controller is created, and let's use this controller on the product.dart page. Okay, first thing what we need to do is we need to create a controller. It will be a product detail controller. I'm going to use a get dot put because first time we are using this thing. So let me import the get dot dart, and let's use a product details controller. Okay, just like we imported it in other classes. Okay, so this is our product detail controller, and what we will do, simply return a text as of now, a text widget. Okay, nothing we are doing here, just don't worry, give me some time, let me just format it. Okay, so right now we are not doing anything. Okay, but let's go over here, let's refresh the page, let's see that are we able to make API call or not. Okay, we got a exception at the time of making HTTP call. Okay, the exception is coming because, okay, let's go on a network call, because right now I just changed the port number from 3000 to 5000. So let me use it. Okay, and let's refresh the page again. Okay, so right now we are using this GetX controller over here, and because of that only, once we import it here and once the app is loaded, okay, this onIt method will run automatically just like the init state. And inside the onIt method, what we did, we call our get product details API. Okay, I mean we call this method and it is making an API call for get, and here you can see that the data we are able to see over here. Okay, we are successfully able to make a API call. Okay, that's why we are able to print it over here, which means everything is working fine. And now what we need to do is we need to use the product detail model class to parse this JSON object into normal Dart object. Okay, and for that what I will do, okay, I will use cons data to as of now, and we have a product details model, and it will need a data. Okay, and every model class which we create have a from JSON or to JSON. Okay, so whenever we get data from the API, we will use from JSON because we are mapping from a JSON data into the normal object. Okay, and it will be type of product details model, and what it is giving one positional argument but 0 font. Okay, so I'm passing the data over here. Okay, we need to pass data like this. Okay, and it should be, instead of doing one more iteration, I will use here, and let's use our data. Okay, and let's log it. Okay, let's log the print data, and as the product details model having one variable, if you remember the product details model having one variable. Okay, and the name of the variable is the data, and then it should have data dot data. Okay, if you're not getting, I mean if you're confused, Just give me a time. I will refresh the page and let's see that what it will log. It will log instead of product item. Okay, so actually it is returning a data. Okay, and let's visualize it first, then I will explain it. Okay, first let me visualize it. So we are getting an array of product detail item. Okay, so here we created a placeholder, right? And I wanted to assign this placeholder here. The data which we have formatted, I wanted to assign it here. Okay, and we will come to this part later if you are confused, but just go with the flow. Okay, so what we did that we decoded the data into normal Dart object, and we use our model class to convert that data into the normal Dart class. Okay, and as this product details model had data variable, so if you are confusing, so let's use it as a product detail model. Okay, so we created an instance of the product detail model. Okay, and product detail model had one variable called data, so we are accessing that variable here and assigning that variable after formatting it to the variable which we created. Okay, and what we need to do, one thing is we created this each loading. Okay, and let's assign each loading to true at the time of making the API call, and let's assign it to the false once we made a successful API call. Okay, so it will be true and it will be false after making the API call. Okay, so everything is set. Let's use it first, and I will come to this part later, just don't worry. Okay, now we created the product details controller, then we have access of variable which we created here, so which means we have access of each loading as well. Okay, then what we will do, we'll make one thing here, that the controller dot is loading dot value, if it is true. Okay, if it is true, then we will going to show the circular progress indicator. Okay, and I should wrap it inside center. Why, I will let you know. Okay, but yeah, I will show you that why we need to wrap this in a center widget. Okay, and also we have access of the product list. Okay, and as product list is the what we call a list, it should have a length as well. Okay, and let's not do anything and let's just hit the save and let's refresh the app. It came here, it is loading. Okay, another thing we are doing a mistake over here is that whenever we use a GetX variable, we need to wrap that particular widget inside a OBX. Okay, so this list view dot builder which we are using inside a body parameter, what we need to do, we need to use a OBX widget first. Okay, and OBH will listen the changes. Okay, it will listen the changes. So whatever the change, whenever we will update a value, okay, whenever we will update this value, then automatically listen and it will try to re-render the UI. That's why now we are able to see all the data text here because we have wrapped the whole logic inside the OBX widget. Okay, so what we need to do, instead of returning the data, I'm going to return a product card, the product card which we created. Okay, and let's, okay, so everything is now set up. If you saw that thing that the loading is coming here only, that's why we need to wrap this circular progress indicator inside the center widget. It will center the loading as well. So whenever it will fetch API call, it will come into the center, then this all the data will come. So now we are able to see the product card, okay? And why we are able to see? Because we have a list of data. You can see that, okay? And let me explain the part which I told you, okay? So actually, our data format is like this, okay? We have a main data object and we have a list of sub main data object, or you can see that item object, okay? So this is our JSON format, okay? We have a main object, and inside the main object we have data as one key, and the value is a list of item objects. That's why when we created a model class, then what we did, what a quick type did for us is it is created a main model class, which is this, okay? And it just have one variable called data, okay? And it is actually a list of item data model, okay? Because this is also object and it should map to another model class. That's why we have created, QuickType created a separate model class for this object, okay? And this model class is have a list of variable which we provided over here, okay? So that's why we have a list of variable, okay? And what we are doing in a supermodel class is we are using the item model class, okay, to define the data key, okay? Because it's a item of array of item. That's why it's a array of item model class, because each object have their own model class, okay? So that's why the whole fundamental is here, okay? We have a super model class because we have a upper object and we have a sub model class which is representing the individual item, okay? And as a supermodel class have a object which is array of submodel class item, that's why here we have this kind of format, okay? And what we are doing here, that we have a product detail controller, and here we have a get product details method, and actually we are making an API call here, okay? And first we are making API call over here, and after making an API call, okay, we are converting the data which is originally in a JSON string format into the map format, okay? Now after converting it into the map format, what we did, we use our model class, okay? And model class will get a data, okay? So here if you see, it will, the model class, whenever we define our model class, it will take one parameter, that is a required parameter called data, okay? So it is getting the data, okay? And after getting a data, it will initialize each, okay? So the data it is getting, it will initialize, okay? It will assign to the data here, okay? So that's why when we created a model supermodel class instance, okay, we got access of the dot data, okay? Actually what we pass here, first it is map into the map format to normal class format, okay? And it assign it to the data variable, okay? So now this data variable had a list of all the items, okay? It is a list of all the items. That's why I created this thing. It was a list of item. That's why I created a variable product list, which was a list of item, okay? So once we formatted it into the class base, then I assigned it here because it was also a list of item, and the type I created, the variable I created was also a list of item. That's why we haven't got an error, and it contained all the data, all the products over here, and it is an array. That's why when we use here in a list view dot builder, as list view dot builder will take two parameters. First thing is the item count and second thing is the item builder. So item count I extracted from the product list dot length. Okay, and as of now what we are doing, we are just returning a product card. So all the data are hard coded here as of now. Okay, we have around 6 or 8 data, okay, which I showed earlier at the time of starting a video. So that's why the 6 or 8 card is visible over here. Okay, so I guess you understood all the thing what I'm doing here. Okay, so let's get those data, the actual data which we are getting from the internet, and map it over here in a product card. Okay, and we will do it in a next video. But before that, please make sure to subscribe the channel, like the video and share the video to your friend. It will highly motivate me to make such video. Please also add a comment, and yeah, see you in our next video.